This is the Pokemon game where you get to play as a demon girl, and this is a roguelike game, which means that if your team faints, you have to restart from the beginning. And the game is pretty simple. You have 15 rooms in each stage, and in total there are 5 stages. If you clear all those stages and all the bosses, you become the Queen of Hell. So, what's the deal? Well, here's what we got to do. First of all, we start up the game, and then we get to choose between an easy and hard difficulty. The easy difficulty gives you a preset really good legend team. So, we then get introduced to Hell Girl, the character we're going to be playing as well as these Skull Guards. Now, these guys are going to be the main antagonists we're going to be dealing with, as well as the bosses. After dealing with them and getting introduced to our brand new starter Pokemon, aka Helgar, we then get over to this area. So, at these statues, we can save our game, we can also change the moves on Pokemon, the items, as well as look into the box and pick what we want. Now, if you choose the easy mode, you're given a specific set of Pokemon, in this case, a bunch of legendaries. However, once you've chosen your team, you can only pick 3 Pokemon, and then you enter into the rooms. So, at the start here, as you guys can see, I run into a skeleton in my first room, and these skeletons in particular, the Aerodactyl ones, don't actually battle you. Instead, they will poison your Pokemon, paralyze them, freeze them, whatever else, whatever kind of status condition you can imagine, they will do that. So after dealing with that, you get to a set of 3 doors. And in this case, I chose the right side door and ran into a Kabutops. Now, if you run into Kabutops, it is a bit different. In this case, if you run into Kabutops, you have to battle them. So Aerodactyls give you status conditions, and Kabutops force you into battles. Now, sometimes these battles will be 1v1s, sometimes they'll be double battles. It really depends on, and it's really just random for the most part. In this case, though, we have Regieleki as well as Urshifu, and Urshifu in this case is really strong. I mean, we do have an Obstagoon and as well as a Copperajah against us, so it's not that difficult, and we clear the second room very quickly. And then there's also these statues. You can use these to specifically heal yourself up, and sometimes they will be in these rooms and sometimes not. And then there is the choosing room. Now, in this area, you can talk to the statue and it will give you some hints, and then you gotta pick one of the 3 different paths. In this case, we chose the middle path and ran into another Aerodactyl, clearing our 3rd room. So we still got another, well, 12 or so rooms to go. On our 4th try, we go into the middle again, and in this case, you can see there's a Kabutops as well as a healing statue. So this Kabutops in this case has a Charizard. We use our boy Regieleki in this case as well, but it doesn't really do a lot. We're not able to actually, I think, get the Zap Cannon off in time, if I'm correct. But then we use Urshifu, and we're able to get him out with Liquidation, and Machamp ends up being really scary, I'm not gonna lie, and we do end up losing Urshifu in this case to him too, having to resort to Helgar as our final solution, and with Sludge Bomb we do a lot of damage, and then finish him up with a Flamethrower. Frostmoth is the last Pokemon on this Kabutops, and unfortunately I expected to win this easily, but no, we end up losing on our first run. So our first run is a game over. Yes, we lost straight away. So this time around, I tried the next day to play again, but this time I take the hard mode. Now, the hard mode limits you to 1 box of Pokemon, as you guys can see right here, and then you get to just kick off and start off and do things you want to do. So I decided to go for Nidoking, Dracovish, and Helgar as well. So those are the 3 Pokemon we're going to be using. We take the right side room first, we get lucky and run into an Aerodactyl. Now, actually, lucky would technically be to run into a room that doesn't have anything besides a healing on it, like a healing statue. But in this case, we ran 2 rooms in a row and straight away ran into just like an empty hallway and 2 Aerodactyls, and then even another Aerodactyl. So our first few rooms are all very easy until eventually we run into a Kabutops in this case. So this Kabutops had a Garbodor, which we defeat, a Togedemaru, as well as a Heracross. So we got lucky in room number 5, and we easily got to deal with that one. Then we find a statue healing room, as well as an Aerodactyl room. And those are usually, like I said, the fastest one. We just got to burn from one of those. And next we check into another middle room. In this case, the 8th room and the 9th room are both having only Aerodactyls in them.
Also, you guys should definitely subscribe if you want to see more Pokemon ROM hacks and weird gameplay.
So, by now we're choosing our 10th room. We choose the middle path and run into a Kabutops with a Bruxish. Now, you may notice that we're slowing down a little bit in pace right now. That's because we start running into more Kabutops as we keep going right now. And also, when you reach the 7th room in each stage, you can actually save your game. So you can just make sure to save so you don't have to do a game over reset each time. But either way, do defeat this one, and we also get ourselves a heal, which is perfect because sometimes you will have to battle Kabutops without getting a heal afterwards, and that's the worst ones. So just a warning if you do end up having to deal with that. Also, by the way, once you complete a full stage, so that's 15 rooms, and you beat a boss, once you've done that, you can actually go to the boxes and change out the Pokemon you want to use, and even change out their EVs, IVs, all that kind of stuff. So either way, at this point, we've cleared room number 11, and now it's time to enter into the next one. So we decide to go again for the middle room, and it looks like we run into an Aerodactyl, which is actually pretty lucky for us, because that gets us one step closer to the boss battle. However, we do end up getting getting ourselves, well, we get one of our Pokemon poisoned, one is sleeping, so it's not really the best of situations. I'm not even gonna lie, it is not looking too hot for us. We keep moving forward, and then we run into a bad room. We run into a Kabutops room without a healing station, and that is the worst kind you can run into. So, the Roserade is up first, so we Mega Evolve and use Nasty Plot to make sure we set ourselves up to do more special attacking damage. Then we use Flamethrower on Roserade, which is not that big of a deal and pretty easy. However, Glaceon is the same situation. Flamethrower and it is gone. We do run into an issue though, which is the Noctowl. So Noctowl, we go for Dark Pulse, but it doesn't do enough damage to take the Noctowl out. Plus it has a berry on it. So we switch into Nidoking and go for Thunderbolt, which is enough to deal with it. And that is the 13th room finished. However, the next room could be the decider here. Are we going to reset or are we going to be able to make progress? Now, the reason I say this is because the next room pretty much determines if we're going to be able to heal up or not. And guess what? We get lucky and it is a healing room. However, that shouldn't really have been a problem for us because this was the 14th room. And what happens when you reach the 14th room is you get an automatic heal because you can also save here, as this is a checkpoint before you take on the boss of this stage. And that's exactly what we're about to do, ladies and gentlemen, as we take on our first stage boss. So let's get down to it.
Oh shit, so I've heard a buzz about you. You escaped your punishment, exploded my soldiers and fainted all their Pokemon.
So yeah, Warden Ciara is going to be the first person we're going to be battling when it comes to the bosses. And there are 5 of these guys that you guys can take on, and the first one is her. So what does Warden Ciara have? Well, it's a Moltres of all things, which is a little bit ridiculous. So make sure to Mega Evolve Helgar and then use Nasty Plot, but he misses his Hurricane, which is perfect for us. So now we can simply just go for the Dark Pulse, which is going to be doing enough damage to get rid of Moltres, which is super lucky for us. It's a perfect setup with the Nasty Plot. Otherwise, we would be struggling a little bit more. However, he also has an Aegislash, so Flamethrower in this case is an easy one-hit KO. So far, 2 of this boss battle Pokemon are actually already gone, leaving Lopunny as the last thing to deal with. However, this Lopunny does have a Mega Evolution, which is a tad bit annoying to deal with. However, Fake Out is annoying as well because it does make us flinch, and then the high jump kick deletes our little friend right here. Helgar could not survive that, so we have to use Nidoking and Dracovish to finish off the Lopunny. So Nidoking comes in first. We have a few different options for moves, but we do go for the Thunderbolt. We also get hit by Return, but Poison Point is in there, so we make sure that this guy is poisoned, and then the Thunderbolt comes in and does a little bit of damage. We do also have Life Orb on Nidoking, so just a fair warning in case you guys are wondering why we're losing HP a little bit here and there. However, the poisoning is in there, and now all we really need, okay, realistically, all we really need is Dracovish just to do a little bit more damage, just a tiny amount of damage to get rid of Lopunny. Doesn't even need to totally kill it, just a little bit of damage and survive any possible hits, which is exactly what Dracovish does. It go in for the Dragon Rush, and ladies and gentlemen, we've defeated the first boss, aka Warden Ciara. So there you go, we've completed the first one. Now we can move on to stage 2. And in stage 2, ladies and gentlemen, the map changes. Yes, we have a new aesthetic, a new look, a new everything. So here we go, Descent into Purgatory. So our journey starts off right off the bat by us checking the box. And of course, as you may notice, we still have only the same Pokemon. So I decided to go for Helgar, Nidoking, and Dracovish once again. The same team, we're not going to change anything up. We're sticking with our original ones. Then we check to make sure which room is the safest one to go to. And we go to the middle room where we run into just a healing statue, which is great because that just allows us to get through there very quickly without running into any trouble. However, we then take the left room on our second try, and guess what? We run into a Kabutops, but not just a Kabutops without a healing statue. Now, these are the worst ones you can run into because then you could end up running into another Kabutops right after this one and end up, well, losing, which is exactly kind of what ended up happening in our case. So we end up losing against the Bolton, which gets our boy Nidoking with Hyper Voice and also destroys a little bit of the rest of our team as well in terms of damage. However, Gengar ends up defeating our Dracovish, and ladies and gentlemen, we're in a pretty sticky situation. We go for Helgar, we Mega Evolving, we go for Dark Pulse. Gengar does fall to that eventually. However, there is one more Pokemon on this team, which is Rhyperior, and that one takes us out and gives us our second game over. So yes, we've already lost twice so far, which is not great. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So we reset, restart sometime later, and get back into it and take the left room in this case, where we run into, again, another, well, I guess another Kabutops, but this time around, there is a healing statue, which is exactly what we needed. However, We're also lucky that this Kabutops has two Pokemon that are really weak against Helgar, that being Ninetales and the Scizor. So we make sure to hit the first one with the Flamethrower, and then we hit Flamethrower on Ninetales the second time around, with Haxorus being the last Pokemon left. And in this case, we do have Ice Beam on Nidoking, as well as also Flamethrower on Helgar. So after just another Flamethrower, this one is done. So we nuke the Kabutops, make sure to of course heal ourselves up, and now it's time to head in and search for the next room. We sense that the right room has skeletal wings, which usually implies that there's going to be an Aerodactyl there. So it does give poison and, a burn to two of our Pokemon, which is a bit annoying, but it doesn't really matter. We then head to the left room after that on the third try, and here there is only a healing statue, which is perfect because that allows us to heal up our team right off the bat and get rid of those poisons and status effects. Then we take another left turn, and it turns out we get 2 times in a row a healing room, which is really rare, but we got super lucky. We check and sense, and it looks like the middle room has a Pokemon waiting to pounce, so we don't go there. Instead, we go to the left, where we run into another Aerodactyl. This time, it doesn't poison us or anything, but it does take off a lot of our HP, which is a little bit problematic. On the 6th room, we run into another Aerodactyl, and this time we get paralyzed and another loss in health. Then on the 7th room, we also run into an Aerodactyl. Again, it seems like a lot of actually pretty good runs here. But this time around, we lost so much HP on Helgar, I was really scared. But we do get lucky. This is the 7th room, which means we get an automatic heal. So every 7th room, you get an auto heal, and that's exactly what we do. We make sure to heal ourselves up, head to room 8, and there we finally run into another Kabutops. Now, this Kabutops has itself a Toxicroak as well as a Salazzle. Now, the Salazzle actually uses Protect, which saves it, and then a Focus Blast from Toxicroak pretty much destroys our boy. However, our Earth Power does get rid of Toxicroak, so we are still in the run here, I guess. Then there is a Sableye on the enemy team. We go for Vicious Rend on Salazzle, which is enough to defeat it, and now there is only one Pokemon left, which is Sableye. It does hit us with a few moves, but after using a Thunderbolt and a Vicious Rend on it, eventually it is defeated, which means we do make it through the 8th room. And of course, we do also get a free heal, which is exactly what we needed. We look around and make sure to check, and it turns out we're going to go for the middle room, where we get unlucky and run into another freaking Kabutops. This time it's a 1v1 battle. There is a Ranunculus. We make sure to, Mega Evolve and then go for Dark Pulse, which does do a handy amount of damage, but this thing still survives and uses Trick Room of all things, which does scare me, but then it uses Explosion to get rid of itself, and then we have a Mudsdale, ladies and gentlemen. It uses Takedown and Stomping Ground, I think, and it just destroys our team. Nidoking cannot handle it, and we have to literally just rely on Dracovish at this point. But luckily, with a few Vicious Rends, and we have defeated it. And then there is Weavile, and here we are so lucky we survived this Ice Punch at 34 HP because the Vicious Rend is enough to get rid of it too. We get the heal, and ladies and gentlemen, we are now super close to get to the next boss battle. We check around for the next room, go into the middle section, and here, ladies and gentlemen, we run into another Aerodactyl. And of course, as mentioned, we're going to be getting some status effects. And what do we get this time around? Well, actually nothing. We got nothing in that turn. However, on the next room, we do run into Kabutops, and we do have a little bit less HP, but that's totally fine. So, ladies and gentlemen, we go for Flamethrower on Steelix. It does have Sturdy. We also go for Thunderbolt on Mandibuzz, hoping that will be enough, but it isn't. So now we switch around. We go for actually, I think, Flamethrower on specifically Mandibuzz to make sure we get rid of it, because I'm scared that maybe a Thunderbolt will not do enough damage, which it probably would have done, but it's besides the point. As for Steelix, though, we make sure we try to get rid of him too with an Ice Beam, and eventually he's gone. Then there is a Rhyperior. Then we hit with Earth Power as well as Dark Pulse. Those two moves combined are enough to defeat that Pokemon too. And ladies and gents, we then nuke that Kabutops, heal ourselves up, and head over to look for the 12th room. And as for the 12th room, we take the right turn, and here we run into another Aerodactyl. This time we are unlucky. We get poisoned, we get paralyzed, and we get frozen as well. So 3 different status effects, all of them being really annoying. So when we go up against this Kabutops, our whole team has status effects. First up is a Charizard. We Mega Evolve, and we do also have Poison, as you may notice. But our Dark Pulse Plus, I think we did a Nasty Plot at the start here. I could be wrong, though. But that is enough to get rid of that guy. Then for Claydol, it's not that big of a deal. Same thing in this case. We go for the Dark Pulses. We need about 2 of those to get rid of Claydol. And I was super happy at this point because I really was scared we were going to be losing. However, Shiftry is the last Pokemon, and a Flamethrower is all we needed. And guess what? We also now get ourselves a free heal up after, of course, nuking that Kabutops. So now that we have the free heal, we should be healed up and ready to take on the next challenge, even if it is a lone Kabutops. But we're hoping that won't be the case. Instead, we run into an Aerodactyl on the 14th room. And ladies and gentlemen, that means that we won't be running into anything dangerous in the next room. Instead, we're going to be making it to the 15th room, where, of course, we're going to be running into a boss. So yes, we get a free heal, we save the game, and ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take on the next boss, and it's going to be an interesting one.
Oh, dragon, how dare you! Oh no. Ooh, what did I do this time? Wake me up from my sleep, that's what! Ha, perfect timing. Come on, let's battle. When it's done, you can go back to sleep again. I'll make sure you sleep for a very, very long time. Enough! Quit your yammering. All right, boys, let's go! Boys, let's go. Here we go. Oh, bro, not Virizion. Why?
So yeah, she starts off with a Virizion, and we make sure to go for the Mega Evolution as well as Nasty Plot, hoping that the Virizion will not hit us with anything too hard. I mean, we are a Dark type partially here, so it is a bit dangerous. However, the Stone Edge comes in, it doesn't kill us and leaves us at 84 HP. We go for Flamethrower, which does defeat Virizion. However, the rest of our team, it could still be dangerous. I mean, this is a Legendary, so anything in here could be dangerous. And, well, guess what? It's going to be a Flygon. We go for Dark Pulse, and now that we do have the Nasty Plot set up, it is enough to get rid of the Flygon as well. Her last Pokemon, though, is Gardevoir, and you guys already know that if it's a Gardevoir, it could be dangerous. Well, it is, because she Mega Evolves it. Of all the possible things that could have happened, Mega Evolution was the last thing I wanted to deal with. So she Mega Evolves it, we go for Dark Pulse, but we are lucky because she goes for Focus Blast, but it misses, and our second Dark Pulse does end up defeating her. So we got really lucky on this battle, ladies and gentlemen, but that is the second boss in the game defeated. The second boss is done and dusted, and guess what? That means we can progress to the next zone. But ladies and gentlemen, this is where my journey is going to end. I want you guys to go check out the game for yourself, check out and see if you can get past Stage 3, Fire and Brimstone, which is also a blue-colored stage, which looks pretty cool. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys the next time. Peace out, and bye-bye, and thank you for watching.